He's the guy who I said on Monday should be fighting for the belt next. I would love to see it. Let's get his thoughts on it all. He's the one and only Khalil Rountree Jr., kind enough to join us here. Great to have him back on the show. Khalil, my man. And let me get it right. Khalil, right? It's Khalil, not Khalil, right? I just want to I don't want to screw this up. Am I right with that?
If I'm being
Uh-oh.
100% like thorough, it's
I
Khalil.
screwed it up. Khalil. Okay. That's even better for me. I could say Khalil. I could say that easy. Is it really?
Yeah,
Is that how you
yeah.
like to be called? Okay. Why
I
haven't we
mean,
called you that?
it's an Arabic name that my father gave to me, and I believe that from what I've heard, people who are fluent and speak Arabic call me Khalil. So I
1000%.
don't speak Arabic, but from like hearing, people that's their native language say it, that's how they pronounce it. But here in America, people say Khalil or Khalil, or some of my family calls me Khalil. It's just, I guess it depends on your accent. But yeah,
Would you like to be referred to as Khalil?
it's nice to hear, like it's nice to hear when it's spoken, you know, like in Arabic. It's nice to hear, but I don't expect people who don't naturally have, like an Arabic accent to call me Khalil. I don't expect it, so I just like, as long as people are calling me, by my name, the way that it's spelled, it doesn't bug me.
Yeah, it's sort of like everyone calls Khabib, but the KH is a it's tough for some
Yeah.
people. So I love that. I want to start a
So
movement
also,
for them to
like,
refer.
just for the record, like I'm sure that there are many names that I don't put in enough effort to, pronounce the way that it should be. So I don't want to like contradict myself, because I'm sure
Sure.
I've called people out of their name, there's probably proof of it on the internet. So I just like, it's nice to hear, and yeah.
I want to start a movement for Buffer or whomever is the cage announcer and the broadcasters to refer to you as Khalil. I think that would be pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
But as you say,
Super.
as long as they're saying your name the way it's spelt, that's half the battle. Congrats on another spectacular win. Can I ask you off the bat, because we were kind of hypothesizing about this on Monday, and I said I would love to ask you this question because I was trying to understand maybe if there was another reason for it. Why have your last five fights been at the Apex? Is that your decision, or is it just the way the cookie has crumbled? Because I feel like you're such an exciting, explosive fighter. You should be fighting in front of 16, 18,000 people.
I mean, I think it's definitely more on the side of that's just the way the cookie is crumbled, because I was supposed to fight in Austin, and before that, I was supposed to fight in Vancouver, and those fights
Hmm.
fell through, the week before the event. And so, just at least for those two specifically, I was just willing, when the UFC did whatever they could to at least just create a new match or keep the match alive. So I was just willing, whether it's at the Apex or not. So it's been mostly that, just circumstantial. Um, but I love the Apex. There haven't been any Las Vegas, like T-Mobile Arena cards or anything that have like lined up with just like the schedule and opponents and stuff. But like I said before, like Vegas is my home. So it would be nice to, like, even if I got the opportunity to fight in T-Mobile Arena, that'd be cool. But the Apex isn't a public place, so I would have more friends show up there. You know what I mean? Like so it's, yeah. I think it's just the way the cookie crumbles. But I do really enjoy fighting in Las Vegas because it's my home.
Is there something about just so like the no frills atmosphere? You just it's very pure, which I think a lot of people associate with you. It's just sort of there's not a lot of nonsense, a lot of BS. You just go in there, you do the job, and then you go home.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Apex personally. I feel and have like, my perspective is I believe that it's kind of the closest thing right now to how we can see how like mixed martial arts is like supposed to be perceived, or like supposed to be taken in. It's like it's up close, it's personal. It's not like I don't feel like it's much of like I'm entertaining a giant crowd and having to be more of like a performer versus just like a mixed martial artist. Like I think if we're looking at like martial arts and mixed martial arts, I think that, it's, I personally take it in and take in like the essence of it in a smaller environment. As the events grow, like even let's say ADCC, that was giant last year. Like, yeah, it was cool. It was exciting, but it was different because it's like jujitsu, of like the biggest jujitsu tournament I've ever been to with all of this loud. So it just, I wasn't really able to take in the purity of the jujitsu and the moment and the skill of the best grapplers in the world because I'm so overstimulated by thousands of people and loud music and all this stuff. So I think that like the Apex definitely has a lot of benefits that I enjoy, and I have no issue ever fighting there. I don't necessarily like, it doesn't affect me that it's not in front of a crowd because I think that the Apex also, I don't know numbers, but I think it gets a lot of viewers. It's free, so people can just tune in and see what's going on. It's not a big event, but I feel like a lot of people watch those cards. And the people who can't afford to go to the stadium, which is a good amount of people, can watch from home. And I feel like it's nice. Like I don't see anything bad at all.
As you mentioned, you were supposed to fight in Austin on December 2nd against Azamat Mirzakhanov. He has to withdraw due to an illness. In steps Anthony Smith. What was your reaction when you found out that a veteran like Anthony Smith, high profile, much higher profile name than Azamat, takes this fight on such short notice against someone like you who is just rolling right now? Were you surprised by that?
I I can't, I was literally equally both. I was surprised but not surprised. Like as soon as the feeling of surprise came up, then I'm like, well, it's Anthony Smith. Like, of course I'm not surprised.
Mm.
So just knowing the type of competitor and guy that he is, I knew that him accepting this fight, I'm just like, okay, cool. Like he is kind of what I perceived. Like this guy, like he has lion heart because it's like, that's like, that's courageous, man. Taking a big fight on 10 days notice, I like, man, respect. So I was surprised, but also I was like, yeah, but how could I expect anything different?
How'd you feel about your performance in the fight? You win via stoppage in the third round, another great finish. But leading up to that point, what was your assessment of the way you fought?
I would say, in all honesty, I am really, really happy for like it's been a long time since I've been able to watch one of my fights and actually feel like happy for myself and like proud of myself. There's like I can go and watch past fights and like things happen and like yeah, it's cool, but this was the first one, even more than the Eric Anders fight, that I was just really happy with myself and how I handled everything from like just like my pace to my awareness to just like emotions and like the moment and dealing with a monster like in Anthony Smith, like right in front of me, and not losing my my vision and like I didn't get caught up and like over emotional. I was there the whole time from start to finish. I didn't sit down between the rounds. I was like talking to my coaches. I was there, man. I was there from the moment I stepped in the apex to the moment I closed my eyes. I was just there. And so I was happy with how I fought.
Do you usually not feel that way? And if so, what do you usually feel?
I mean, I do feel that way, and I have felt that way. Um, but it's becoming more natural now. And like, there's just kind of like less resistance as I mature and as I continue to, um, just like work hard and be able to get success and win fights. It just, it's all just, it's maturing, like I'm just like now experiencing it more and more. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I think that I like know who I am in here. you know.
And when did you start to feel that? Like, is this a recent thing? Last couple fights, when you started to feel like, okay, I know who I am.
It's building. Um, it's building. I think that is like this fight was like the confirmation for me. I think that I've felt this. I've tried to figure it out. I've tried to get that answer. I've tried to kind of find my place in all of this and keep growing and keep learning and keep seeing new pieces of myself. And after this fight, I think that was like the confirmation. Like, that's exactly who you are.
Mm.
Now keep going. You know what I mean? Like, that's exactly who you are. So now, like, let's work. We got the answer. Now let's really get to work.
I love it
So
because it's coming through in your performances, in your fights. And like I said, the finish was tremendous. And, some fans will care about this, some will not. Some media will care about this, some will not. I personally love it, but I know it's easier said than done. That moment there where you could have punched him when he was down and you didn't, and you're like up here and you stop yourself. I totally understand why this happens. Momentum. It's easy for us sitting on the couch to be like, you shouldn't throw that punch, but there's so much more going on. Can you explain what's going on in your mind at that point and what stops you from throwing those extra punches when, so many others would?
for this fight specifically, I think it goes back to what I was just talking about. And I just felt in control of everything going on inside of me and whatever. Like, I had to make sure that I was doing the right things to not really take a lot of damage from Anthony. So I was just there. I was aware. So I was prepared, but I was there. So my body didn't just react to the motion of him falling down. Like, I watched his eyes from the moment the punch landed to the moment he fell. So I never disconnected. My feelings didn't go, there's the finish I've been looking for. No, it's like, I was like, I got it right here, but I'm still making eye contact and I see that your eyes are still moving and I can see that the ref is coming in to check. So I'm like, before I do something that's dangerous, like, I actually got a chance to think about it. And that's also something that made me so happy after this fight. Because it's not like, damn, yeah, I did that in the moment. Like, no, dude, I saw it and I was like, and like, if I need to, I will. But like, even then, you're just like, whatever, rep steps in. And I'm like, all right, cool. Thank God I don't have to.
Yeah.
Like, that's what the shrug is about. It's like, there's like a small piece where like, I'm kind of like at the end and I'm like, fuck, thank God. I'm like, okay, like, I got it. No. All right. It's over.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What I liked about this matchup, I really like and admire Anthony as well. Same with you. You're two of the more thoughtful people in the sport, and I'm wondering if you shared any words afterwards.
Yeah. Actually, like, much respect to Anthony Smith, because before the third round, he, like, it looks like we like were just gauging, distance, but for me it felt like a touch of gloves. And also before that third round, he's just like, good fucking shit, man. Like, he's like, good work. And I was like, how cool, like, how
Yeah.
cool, because I don't pay attention to, like, I deal with enough already. So people's opinion of me, I try not to even read things. But just from what I've heard, like, word of mouth, just feedback and stuff, and people were just like, yeah, like I don't think this guy has any respect and things like that for you. So I'm like, okay, enough said. I don't need to go see. I don't need to read into it. Okay. So to hear that already, like in my mind, having heard and having thought, like this guy doesn't care about me, he doesn't respect me. I'm like, okay, cool. So to earn that respect from a guy like Anthony Smith, like during the fight, amazing. And then even after he like, told my coaches like great game plan, and he came up and we shook hands and like took a photo together and, things like that. So it couldn't have happened like it couldn't have happened any better for me personally.
By the way, have you always been that way where you don't read the comments or pay attention or seek them, or is that something you've had to develop over time?
I definitely developed over time, but it's been a long time. Like I struggle with social media in the sense of like I I want to be active and like I want to communicate and do things, but um I just there's just too much out there, too many opinions. And like as things happen for me and people start to become more familiar with who I am, it allows just way too much access. So I just try to keep people updated on anything that like I think is kind of like cool, whether it's like a photo shoot that I did with my sponsors or like a magazine or, like my golf swing or, I just posted and I just shut it down because there's just too many opinions. And sometimes like the negative ones, obviously they sting more than, certain. And I just think for the sake of my own like mental health, it's just better that I just stay away from it and just be more aware of like what's happening in my actual world, and it just makes me a lot happier.
To that point, I was looking at your Instagram. I think it was on Sunday. It might have been on Monday, and I was looking at the comments in one of your last posts, and maybe it was the post right after you won. It was one of the very recent ones, and someone wrote something about because you wrote a nice caption, and then someone in the comments wrote something about how the comment section for your page is an amazingly positive place, as opposed to at times the cesspool that is the comment section on other celebrities or athletes or fighters' pages. And that in itself was like, oh wow, for someone to note that, that's pretty interesting because I know how toxic and negative it could be. So then I went to look at your other, posts, just a quick look at some of the other comments, and it was all positive. And we were talking about this on Monday about how like some people put out negativity and they get negativity back. And your page is very kind of like pure and wholesome and authentic. And so it seems like you're putting that out and you're getting it back. I know you say that you don't read that, but that comment really stuck to me because, again, it could be so negative and so detrimental. Have you noticed that it just seems like your supporters and your kind of little orbit is all very pure and positive?
Yeah, I think I definitely see that, and like I appreciate it. And that is why part of me like I feel like I have like a duty to at least tap in and try to respond as much as I can, right? Because I don't want to leave people hanging, especially when it's positive. Like that is the best. Like that's what keeps me going. Like that's the fuel, right? Especially for like yeah, the fans and the supporters. Um and so I think it's great. I guess what I'm trying to say is like I I feel a sense of responsibility, right? I think that every top professional athlete has a responsibility when we are on things like, I'm talking to you and there's just people who are watching and people who are looking and maybe for inspiration, maybe for like knowledge, like to learn something. But no matter what, there are a lot of people that are watching. So I feel like as a professional, like high level athlete, we are responsible. And so I choose to try to be the best that I can be, not only for myself, but for people who are also tuning in for whatever reasons, right? And so it's nice to be able to get positive feedback because I'm like, okay, cool. At least with this opportunities in this position that I'm blessed with in life, it's doing something good. Even my last post, I'm like, I'm not perfect and I don't strive to be perfect, but I'm trying my best to like, you just like better myself and be more aware of more than just me and my feelings and what's important to me and what I want to show. I'm trying to consider more people because that would have helped me in my past.
Mm-hmm.
So I do see things like that, and it's fuel because I'm just like, okay, cool. At least I'm getting like, at least I feel like it's like inspiration to keep going on like on a good path, and I don't want to mess it up.
Right. Correct me if I'm wrong. You don't usually call out fighters in post-fight interviews, but you did mention the champion this time, which got a lot of people excited. Why did you do that this time?
Yeah, this was the first time I've ever said like another name on the microphone post fight. I think this is a part of also the positive feedback from the fans after Alex's last fight. I did see that a lot of people were tagging me and saying like this would be a great matchup. And I watched that fight and I watched all of Alex's fights and I'm like, yeah, I mean, it would be a great matchup. My fans like to see me strike and his fans like to see him strike. And like, we both have an intensity about us. We both have, I feel like, a good fighter spirit, you know. Alex, I think that just like from a from a uh, from a fan standpoint, I think that it's just a fight that's just like, yeah, that's a sick fight. I'm not necessarily. I hope that people don't think that that was me saying I deserve a title shot because that's not my intentions at all. Like that's not what I'm calling for. I'm not on this tear and being like, I've been on so much of a tear that I deserve a title shot. No, it's just more of like, if that's what the fans want to see, then let's make it happen versus like putting me versus, someone else who is probably just going to try to wrestle me, which I'm okay with, but I don't think that it's as exciting for my fans. Let's just say if I'm responsible for my fans want to see me fight another striker because people like to see me strike. I've never shot a takedown in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I would love to see it.
That's more of like that. That's kind of like a more clear view on like the intention. So,
How confident are you that that's a possibility that your next fight could be against Alex? I know you're ranked 8th now, so you've moved up 3 spots in the UFC rankings, whatever that means. How possible do you think this is?
well, if we're talking about possibility, I'm the type of guy where like I really believe that anything is possible. So I can say 100%, right? If we're talking possibility, like such a big word and we all look at it differently. But yeah, I think that like it really does depend. It depends on if the UFC does like if they want to make it happen, if they don't feed into the politics and they're just like, you know what, yeah, this is a good fight and I think we should make it happen, then like I think that's kind of more what it is. Or you know what I mean? Because it's really up to them and it's up to Alex. So I guess it just all depends on like on you know persuasion.
Do
Like
you have
which
any sense? Do you have any, like, it's been a few days since Saturday. Do you have any sense as to whether or not this
to
could
be honest,
happen?
like I don't have any sense whatsoever. I haven't spoken to anybody in the UFC. Um, I haven't heard anything, and there hasn't been any sense.
Do you manage yourself?
Yeah. at the moment.
Wow. Any
Yeah.
particular reason?
I think that before, I think you're friends with Markel, right?
Yeah.
Markel Martin. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So
Francis's guy.
I was with Markel and Creative Artist Agency in LA. But they dissolved the combat sports division, which, left all of the agents to kind of, if they wanted to stay agents, then they had to find a new agency. And I think that, like, for that reason, I just looked at it as like, well, maybe now is maybe now is when I try to get a little bit of experience of what it even means to be like an agent or manager, because I also don't have a retirement plan.
Hmm.
So, like, I don't know how that process works. I don't know what's being talked about in these meetings and negotiations, with Mick and Dana and Hunter. And, I don't know what's being said if I have an agent, because I was really never present in any of those talks. So I think that right now is the time for me to be 100% present in these talks and say what I, want, or my ideas and things directly, because I am trying to be a person where, like, I guess I don't necessarily need someone else to speak for me. I know exactly
Hmm.
what I want. You know what I mean? And then, so, like, if you don't agree with it, okay, then, like, let's find common ground and then move forward. And so it's more of like, unfortunately, combat sports, or the CAA combat sports division, got dissolved, and I had the choice to continue to work with Markel, who's done so much for me. But I think that I need this experience right now to see, like, what's going on. Like, what is this all about? What does it even mean to be an agent?
I like that and respect that. I like asking this question, especially this time of the year. So I'll ask you the same one. This time next year, December of 2024, where are you at in your career?
December 2024.
Yeah, a year from now. You the champion?
Yeah, I'm definitely the champion in my career. Yeah. Um, I'm definitely the champion. And I'd say this would be the prime time, being the champion, that I can start to do something that involves the city of Las Vegas. Something, like, I think that that's, like, being the champion in Las Vegas, for me, like, they kind of go hand in hand. Like, not only do I want to do this for myself, but I want to do this for my city. I feel like the city deserves a UFC champion, and there will be a champion from Las Vegas one day. Hopefully, I'm the first, and then, like, hopefully I can be that, and then, the kids on the east side of Las Vegas can see, like, oh, there was a guy from here. The first ever UFC champion was from Las Vegas. I can go join the gym. I can also do this, because what can we be in Las Vegas other than, like, entertainers, or, like, casino tenders, or, just keep the city alive. So maybe, there's a young kid out there, or will be a young kid out there, that needs to know that it's possible, to be a champion out of Las Vegas. Like, if nothing else, if you don't know where you're going in life, if you don't think you're smart enough to go to college, and you're not, you know, strong enough to defend yourself, well, there's plenty of gyms here, and you can go and be a champion, if nothing else. Like, yeah, like, just like how I was, man. I was afraid to go to the military. Didn't think I was smart enough for college. I'm mediocre at playing any instruments. All these things. I'm like, well, what am I going to do then? I'm just going to work at Jimmy jobs like I was, or I'm going to work at the fight shop and, just work a job and hopefully get better and get promoted to manager. And I was like, nah, I mean, that's cool, but I feel like there's more, especially, like, with who my father was, like, so yeah, next year, champion, and then, like, trying to do something, for the city, like, try to make at least the foundation of a mark on the city, whether it's like a gym or, you know, Boys and Girls Club, or just like something that just like is like, I have like, I'm from Las Vegas. I've left the mark on the city, and like now I can go and enjoy my life elsewhere, and just like I've left something at home. I've left something there for, you know, for the people.
I love it. We're lucky as a sport that there's people like you in it. It's a lot of fun to watch your journey and to see the success that you are having now. Congratulations on all the success, on the win on Saturday, and good luck, as a big 2024 is just around the corner for you. I have no doubt that all of that is attainable. So thanks for the time, Khalil. Appreciate it. I'm going to start calling you that. I hope you don't mind. Really, really happy for you, and much love, and keep up the great work.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
There he is, Khalil Rountree Jr., 5 in a row now in the UFC's light heavyweight division. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it very much. Hey, if you like this video, give us the old thumbs up. Subscribe as well. You could get many more of these videos on the channel, so please do that. We would love you forever if you did so.